Hey guys, going to be replacing the starter in my 2006 Corolla. This thing's got 250,000 miles on it. It's been running pretty good, but noticing some grinding issues with the starter recently. So before it gets into the middle of winter, I figured I better get this replaced. I ordered the new one off eBay, paid 50 bucks for it, free shipping. They didn't need a core back, so it's pretty inexpensive. The starter's right down in here. To gain better access, though, we're going to need to remove this fan shroud. And before we do anything, we're going to disconnect the battery. Always a smart thing to do before you work on your car. So to disconnect the battery, I'm going to use a crescent wrench, and then for the removal of the fan shroud, we have a flathead screwdriver and a 10mm socket. Alright guys, so got this thing off. This is a good time too. I don't happen to have one on me, but if you have a terminal post cleaner, get these things all cleaned up while you got them off. Make sure your battery has a good connection. Next we're going to move on to the fan shroud here. So flathead screwdriver, there's an electrical connector down here. If you stick this in from this side, you're pushing down, there's a tab there which will release it, and then you're just going to pull it off there. So be careful, these plastic pieces, they're, this is 20 years old, so not 20 years old, sorry, 12 years old. This plastic gets brittle though with all the heat down here. So like I said, just be careful. You don't want to put too much pressure or do anything too drastic. You'll break it and find yourself in a worse off situation. 10mm wrench here. We're going to, there's a bolt right down here, and there's a bolt right down here. So we're going to get both of these undone. Set this up here. I'm going to do the same thing over here, getting a good view of this one right down in here. So, same thing, let's get this thing loosened up. Oh, okay, there we go. Set that up here for now. This is going to come out now with the exception of this hose. Remember, you're going to have some coolant in here, so be careful. Make sure your car is not hot when you do this so you don't cause any issues, but you can get this off. I already kind of loosened this up, but you can get this off with, just be careful. Again, old hoses, you don't want to crack anything. They could be brittle, but just loosened it up with a screwdriver from this end or use a wrench. But okay, got that disconnected. Alright guys, I had some issues getting this out because I don't have the correct tool, but I'm going to show you what I came up with. There's a special tool you can go buy that's like a clip removal tool. I don't have it, so if you kind of angle a screwdriver in on both sides and then apply pressure at the same time, you can see we got that out there, and there's two of these holding on. So let's see if we can get the other one over here. Same idea. See if we can. It's in there good. This one's at a little harder. It's a little more. Oops. We're close. This one's just at a more of a difficult angle. There we go. Whew, a lot of dust. All right. You paused it. Now this thing should be able to come out free and clear. Come on. I think we can sneak it by this hose. There we go. Whew. Haven't had this thing out since ever. Um, so yeah, okay. Now that we got this out, set it in here. Okay, guys. So we've got the fan shroud out. We got our old starter down here, which I've went ahead and loosened up the bolts and nuts on, but I'm going to show you where everything's located so you know what to do. Just wanted to make sure we could speed this part up. Then we got the new starter here, and I ordered this on eBay. It was 50 bucks, free shipping. They don't need a core back. There's a lot of options out there, maybe 50 to 150 bucks. This car's got 250,000 miles on it, so I wasn't going to put anything too wild in here, just a basic run-of-the-mill replacement starter. So this bolt down here, this is a 14 millimeter, and then this is coming in from this direction. We also have another bolt right up here. It's going to be hidden behind a couple hoses, but it's right back here where my finger is, and it's kind of hard to see, but if you get down at a certain angle you can see it. This bolt is coming in from this direction. Then on the back here, we got a nut here, and we got a clip, a connector here, an electrical connector. So for the electrical connector, there's a little button on it. You can feel it, and if you push that in, it will disconnect, and you can pull this straight out. So we're just going to set that off. This nut here, this is a 12 millimeter nut. So I have a shorter one for this because you got a hose in the way here. So if we kind of get in here, this boot will be covering it, by the way, so you have to move that to the side. Well, we can get on here. Oops. Maybe. There we go. And this one's going up to loosen it, and I think I got that one loosened enough where I can get it off by hand. Okay. And again, make sure you disconnect your battery before you do any of this. You don't want to be touching this stuff while the battery's hooked up. And then this bolt, and this bolt. I'll tell you, the two bolts, the one here and the one here, they were a little tight. You had to get some pressure on there to get them loose. The 12 millimeter nut on the back wasn't that bad, so I recommend replacing or untightening the 12 millimeter one first. Get that off, then do these two bolts, because once you do that, your starter will come right out. Be careful. There's the connector there that goes over this. Be careful when you pull it out. You don't want to scrape up your radiator. So, whew, there it is. Not quite sure what was making it go bad. But there's the old one, Toyota. I'm going to be replacing it with the remanufactured one there. So I'm just going to set this off to the side. And the next part of this video is pretty straightforward, right? Because you've taken it all apart, so now you're going to do all the same stuff, but in reverse, until you make it back to a complete car again. So this part of the video will be fun because you'll see a lot of speed up. All right, guys, so that's it. It's done. You know, probably total combined time, maybe about an hour or so. Just a reminder of the tools I used. Got the 3/8 socket wrench here. I used a 12 millimeter. This one had to be pretty short just due to spacing in there. I had the longer one out here, but ended up not being able to use it. I used a 14 millimeter for the starter, bolts on both sides. Used my smaller socket wrench with a 10 millimeter for the two bolts here and here. Used a crescent wrench for the battery terminals. You know, you can use a sized wrench, but I just have always used this for the battery, so always seems to be different size nuts on there, depending on the car you're working on. I used a screwdriver for the various connectors to get out. You know, you can buy a clip removal tool to get these clips out, but I kind of, you know, I didn't want to go spend the money or the time to go do that. So I personally used two flathead screwdrivers to get this out. Had the extender out, didn't end up needing it. It's a good time too. Like I said, I don't have a terminal, battery terminal post cleaner, but this would have been a great time to do that because I'm already working on the car and had to take that off, but just didn't have that tool handy. So thank you for watching. Please subscribe. Let me know if you have any questions or comments below, and as always, have a good one.